Hello, eighth grade. We are going to jump into lesson 5 today. So we are still working on delineating and evaluating arguments, but today we're going to look at irrelevant or not needed evidence and conflicting viewpoints. So today you're going to continue to read the anchor text. You're going to evaluate the author's argument by considering how relevant the evidence is and if the author responds to conflicting viewpoints. Before we do that, let's go ahead and look at our entrance ticket for today, which is on page 31 in your student workbook. So let's please go ahead and go there now. Guys, go ahead and pause the video and let's get started. All right, guys, if you've not had an opportunity, I'd love for you guys to share out your answers with your classmates. So go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, so you had two things to answer today. The first one says, one supporting point for the main claim that eighth graders should start school at 9 o'clock is, you might have said something like starting school later is appropriate for adolescents because their brains go through the biggest growth spurt since toddlerhood. You had a multiple choice question that says, what is one piece of relevant evidence that supports this point? You should have chose B. 8 to 10 hours of sleep is required for maximum brain growth and functioning. All right, guys, thank you for doing that. Let's look at our learning target for today. I can distinguish between relevant and irrelevant evidence, okay? All right. So we are going to the sort relevant and irrelevant evidence note catcher. This is on page 32 and 33 in your notebook. I really want you guys to work in pairs today. You should have strips, and you are going to sort the evidence on the sentence strips into two piles. Evidence that is relevant to the topic, so the topic is there for you. And then evidence that is irrelevant to the topic. So evidence that is not necessary, okay? Before I set you loose to do this, I want to fill in what relevant and irrelevant mean together. So at the top of that note catcher, please write relevant means something that is connected or applicable. Okay, something that is connected or applicable. And your teacher can write this on the board if necessary. Irrelevant means something that does not apply or is not connected. All right, so you and your partner are going to take these sentence strips and you're going to put them into the relevant or irrelevant category based on that prompt that you see there. You are a member of the student council and you are writing a proposal to try to convince the school cafeteria to serve pizza 2 days a week instead of just one. You're collecting evidence to put in your proposal. So based on your proposal, you want to put relevant evidence in the relevant evidence category and irrelevant evidence in the irrelevant evidence category. Okay, so please go ahead, pause the video, work with your partner to get this all sorted out, and then we'll come back together. All right, guys, so let's look at relevant and irrelevant evidence, okay? I want you guys to work through these questions as a class with your teacher guiding you. Was there any evidence that was hard to categorize and why? Identify one more piece of relevant evidence and one more piece of irrelevant evidence for the argument being made. And lastly, can you think of other examples in real life where you will need to analyze and sort relevant and irrelevant evidence? So please go ahead and pause the video, guys, and work through this as a class. Have this discussion as a class. All right, guys. So if you have done this now, we are going to go ahead and move forward. So we're now going to look at irrelevant evidence and conflicting viewpoints, okay? In order to do this, we need to go to the Delineate an Argument graphic organizer from section 3. You guys started this in the previous lesson, okay? So we had to fill out irrelevant evidence, right? There was a spot there for irrelevant evidence. And I want to point out that in the Omnivore's Dilemma, there's not much irrelevant evidence because Poland has done careful research and he's presenting information that align to his beliefs, right? So it's kind of biased. It's important, however, to be able to recognize information that may be irrelevant to the author's claim. Okay, so I want you guys to answer this question that I'm about to pose with your elbow partner. Why is it important to identify irrelevant information when you're combing through and picking apart an argument? Why is it important to identify that irrelevant information? All right, guys. Another question that I want to prompt you guys through. What are some strategies you can use to identify irrelevant information or irrelevant evidence in the future? So how will you know that something is not connected? Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and turn and talk. All right, guys, so we're going to move forward and we're going to go to the author's purpose and point of view note catcher. Now, you guys have filled this out in the in previous lessons. You've done section 1, you've done section 2. And so today we are going to fill in what you guys read last time. I want you guys to go back to page 63. You read a small section from 63 to 65, and I want you to work to fill in the next section of this note catcher. What is the conflicting viewpoint that is implied in this section, and how does the author respond to the conflicting viewpoint? Okay, so go ahead and work to fill this out now. Again, guys, you're adding another section here, section 3, pages 63 through 65. So you're just adding on to what you've done before. Answer all the questions just as you did before. Once you've finished, use your elbow partner and discuss and compare and contrast your evidence, okay? All right, guys. So now that you've done that, let's go ahead and let's do a little bit more think pair sharing. So you should have filled this out. You've combed through this. You've kind of talked about it with a partner. Let's look at this question. How does Michael Pollan make his argument stronger by presenting an alternate viewpoint? So how does he make his argument stronger? By presenting a viewpoint that is different from his own. Okay, so please go ahead and think pair share with your elbow partner now. All right, guys, so I thank you so much for working through this today. We're just practicing getting used to picking apart arguments and identifying irrelevant evidence and conflicting viewpoints. So we're going to look at a few situations, and this is going to be it for us today. So I want you to get with your partner, okay? You guys are going to have this discussion together, all right? So situation number 1, should you be allowed to get a new cell phone since yours is a hand-me-down? Okay, go through these 4 questions together. Your teacher should be walking the room to listen to your conversations and to add input when needed. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and work through these situations. Okay, make sure you highlight question number 3. What is a conflicting viewpoint your parents may have, right? Okay, go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, let's look at situation number 2. I hope you guys have had some good conversation. Same thing, work with your elbow partner. Here's your prompt. The state you live in wants to increase the driving age from 16 to 18 in order to reduce traffic accidents. Go ahead and work through those 4 questions now. Again, your teacher should be walking the room and can help and can add to your conversations. All right, guys, last situation for today. Woo, because Miss Wolford's running out of steam. All right, so getting a summer job. Same thing with your elbow partner. Your parents want you to get a summer job at the local ice cream shop. What is the viewpoint you may have? What reasons support this viewpoint? What's a conflicting viewpoint your parents may have? And what reason supports that viewpoint? Go ahead and pause the video and have this discussion. Your teacher's going to circulate the room. They can leave this up. I'm getting ready to sign off of the video because this is our closing for today. Thank you guys so much for participating. Go ahead and pause the video now before I sign off so you can see this on the screen. All right, guys, I'll see you again very soon.